They say some kids are born with a silver spoon. Ravi? He was born with silence. The kind of silence that comes from being unwanted. Picture this, a dusty village path, early morning haze still clinging to the fields, and right there in the middle of it, an 8-year-old boy, skinny, barefoot, staring at a school bag that just hit the ground in front of him. His uncle's voice slices through the quiet, sharp and mean. "You're just one more mouth to feed, a waste." That bag wasn't packed with books. It was packed with rejection. Ravi had lost both his parents when he was too young to even remember their faces. Since then, he'd been passed around like a problem no one wanted to solve. His uncle took him in, not out of love, but out of obligation. And he reminded Ravi of that every single day. He didn't get hugs, bedtime stories, or a seat at the dinner table. What he got was shouted at for breathing too loud, blamed when the chickens didn't lay eggs, and scolded when he came home with muddy feet. While other kids in the village were memorizing alphabets and playing cricket after school, Ravi was hauling buckets of water, scrubbing floors, chasing goats. He saw classrooms from a distance, through windows as he walked past with a basket of cow dung on his head. They told him he was slow, dumb, unlucky, and the worst part? After a while, he started to believe it. Not because it was true, but because it was the only thing he ever heard. And yet, somewhere deep inside that silence, a part of Ravi stayed awake, watching, listening, waiting. Because maybe, just maybe, this wasn't how his story was supposed to end. Ravi never asked for much, just a fair shot. But even that seemed like too much for the world to give. He tried, day after day, job after job, herding goats for a cranky old farmer who paid him in leftover roti. But when one goat caught a fever and stopped eating, the man didn't ask questions. He just shouted, "You're cursed. Ever since you came, things have gone bad." And that was it. He was sent away like spoiled milk. Then came a food stall in the village square. Ravi scrubbed greasy pans until his fingers cracked. He barely looked up, barely spoke. Still, one dropped plate was enough. The owner didn't even raise his voice. He just pointed to the road and said, "Bad luck doesn't belong in my kitchen." That label stuck to Ravi like smoke. Bad luck. Unlucky. A jinx. Grown men, used him as a scapegoat for their own failures. And this boy, who barely stood as tall as their shoulders, just nodded and walked away. But here's the thing. Inside all that rejection, there was something Ravi refused to let die. A tiny flicker. The smallest, quietest idea that maybe life had more in store. Maybe he didn't have to stay buried in other people's garbage forever. One night, after another day of insults and empty pockets, Ravi sat down beside the village pond. The water had dried up months ago, just cracked earth and silence now. But when he looked up, he saw a single star. No moon, no clouds, just that one stubborn star shining like it refused to quit. He didn't cry, he didn't yell. He just whispered to himself, "I'm done surviving. It's time I started living." And with no shoes, no money, and nothing left to lose, Ravi stood up and started walking. Toward the city, toward whatever came next. By the time Ravi stumbled into the city, his shirt was torn, his lips were dry, and his stomach hadn't seen food in 2 days. He had no plan, just a promise he made to himself beside a dried-up pond. He found a massive construction site on the edge of the city where machines roared and men shouted over dust and steel. Ravi walked straight up to the contractor, this pot-bellied man with sunglasses and a cigarette, and said, "I'll do anything." The man looked him up and down, then smirked. "You'll break in an hour." Still, he waved him in. "Carry bricks, stack 'em, don't drop 'em." That first day nearly broke Ravi. The sun boiled his skin, the bricks cut into his shoulder, and the dust burned his throat. But he didn't stop. He didn't even speak. While the other workers cursed the heat and fought over lunch breaks, Ravi kept his head down and his eyes wide open. He watched, every nail hammered, every bucket mixed. He studied how the foreman marked the ground, how the walls rose inch by inch. He asked questions when no one else did. At first, they laughed at him, called him over-smart. The foreman rolled his eyes every time Ravi came near, but Ravi didn't care. Let them laugh. Because he knew he wasn't just lifting bricks, he was lifting himself. Day by day, his palms grew rougher, his legs stopped trembling. He started to understand things, real things, how to align a beam, how to set a foundation. And somewhere in the middle of the noise and mockery, he started hearing a new voice inside, quiet, steady, and strong. You're learning. Keep going. The years grind past like the concrete mixers Ravi once cleaned. Brick by brick, day after day, he keeps working. No shortcuts, no excuses. The boy who was once ignored now knows every inch of a construction site. He's not just labor anymore. He's the guy people go to when something goes wrong. He listens more than he talks, learns more than he shows. Then one day, something shifts. The site supervisor, an arrogant guy who always barked orders and took long smoke breaks, just walks off the job. No warning. The contractor panics. Deadlines are tight and everyone's waiting to be told what to do. That's when Ravi steps forward. "Let me handle it," he says. At first, everyone bursts out laughing. "You? The brick boy?" But Ravi doesn't flinch. He calmly lays out a plan. What gets done, when, and by whom. The contractor, out of options, shrugs and gives him a week. By the end of that week, the project isn't just back on track, it's ahead of schedule. Workers are happier, materials are managed, no drama, no accidents, just results. And that's all it takes. Word spreads fast. First, he's offered assistant roles on other projects. Then small contracts, then larger ones. Ravi doesn't waste money. He doesn't show off. He reinvests every rupee into tools, permits, and learning the back-end stuff no one else wants to deal with. Paperwork, labor rights, budgets. He's not chasing quick fame. He's building something solid. And just like that, the same kid who got fired for breaking a dish is now handling government tenders. He signs contracts worth crores, and people who once wouldn't even hand him a glass of water now call him sir. Years later, Ravi steps off a rickety bus, carrying the same kind of cloth bag he had as a kid. Except this time, it's not filled with chores or hand-me-downs. It's filled with plans, building permits, blueprints. His stride is steady, calm, no entourage, no fanfare, just him. The dirt path is still there, same potholes, same dusty air, but everything feels different now. He walks past the old banyan tree, past the tea stall where no one let him sit, past the house where his uncle once screamed at him like he was garbage. The door creaks open slightly. The uncle peeks out, recognizes him, and quietly shuts it again. But Ravi isn't here for that man. Not anymore. He walks to the village center and meets with the headman, says he wants to donate land, build something. A real school with books, chairs, uniforms, not a broken blackboard under a tree, but classrooms where kids like him can learn without shame. He hires local teachers, sponsors meals, doesn't give speeches, just starts building. Then he does something even quieter. Opens a small home for orphaned kids, run by village women, stocked with toys and warm beds. The same people who once whispered he was cursed now line up to shake his hand. But Ravi doesn't smile for the praise. He smiles for the kids. Some folks call it charity. Ravi just calls it peace. See, this was never about proving anyone wrong. It was about proving to himself that he could choose who he becomes, that the boy once blamed for every failure could grow into a man who creates futures. And that Right there, that's the kind of power the world can't take away.